The Junior League of the Oranges and Short Hills presents The Littlest Volunteers by Danielle Speckhart, read by Raven-Symoné.
Annie was a lovely little ant. She lived in a wonderful anthill home that had beautiful flowers growing all around it. In fact, she was quite the gardener herself. Even her brother was impressed. One day, Mrs. Lily Ladybug came to Annie's class to talk about community and helping others. When Annie came home from school, she told her mother about the visit. "What did Mrs. Ladybug say?" her mother asked. "Well," said Annie, "she told us that a community is a group of bugs living in the same town or area. She also said that helping other bugs can make your community and the world a better place. We learned that when you help other bugs and don't get paid for it, it's called being a volunteer." "That sounds very nice and very important," Annie's mother said. "It sure is," replied Annie, "but I don't think I'm big enough to be a volunteer." "You have a big heart, and that's a great start. The rest is up to you," said her mother. That night, when Annie went to bed, she finished telling her mother what she had learned that day. "Volunteers do all kinds of things," Annie said. "They have food and clothing drives, visit sick bugs in the hospital, and other caring things. Mrs. Ladybug told us there are lots of volunteer groups that give bugs a helping leg." "That's true," her mother said. "So why don't you close your eyes and go to sleep? Tomorrow you can think of ways that you can be a volunteer and help bugs in our community." Then Annie's mother kissed her little ant good night and said, "Don't let the bed bugs bite." Annie went to sleep that night with a wonderful feeling that she had never felt before. It made her feel all warm and cozy. She kicked her 6 little legs around with excitement until she finally fell asleep. The next morning, Annie could hardly wait. She scurried out of her room and jumped into her parents' bed. "I am ready to be a volunteer." "I think we should get dressed and have breakfast before you conquer the bug world," her mother giggled. At breakfast, Annie's mother said that she and some of her friends did volunteer work. "What kinds of things do you do?" Annie asked her mother. "Well," said Annie's mother, "the last volunteer project we did was at a soup kitchen for bugs in need of food." "What kind of soup did you serve?" asked Annie. "Frog soup," replied Annie's mother. "Yuck!" said Annie. "I'm just kidding," chuckled her mom. "A soup kitchen doesn't mean you have to serve soup. It simply means that you make a hot meal and serve it to people who don't have enough to eat." "Well, I'm sure whatever you serve tastes better than frog soup," joked Annie. "I think you're right," Annie's mother said with a laugh. "Hey, maybe I can start doing volunteer work with my friends," Annie said. "That's a great idea," replied her mother. "I'll talk to my friends today at school," Annie said. Then she gulped down her bug juice, put her books in her bug pack, and ran down the anthill to school. Annie was so excited that she forgot to say goodbye. At school, Annie told her classmates how great it would be to organize a volunteer group. "But what can we do?" asked Katie Caterpillar. "We're just little bugs." "There's a lot we can do," explained Annie. "Didn't you hear what Mrs. Ladybug said the other day? Where there's a will, there's a way." "I'm in," Gilly Grasshopper said. "Let's do it," cheered Bernie Bee. "Let's be volunteers and help make the world a better place." Annie's teacher, Mrs. Shirley Spider, thought it was a great idea too. The kids took a vote and decided that Annie should be in charge. This gave Annie cold legs and she started feeling very nervous. "How am I going to be in charge of something this important?" she thought. "I'm a little ant and this is a big job." Then Annie heard a little voice in her head say, "You have a big heart, and that's a great start. The rest is up to you." Suddenly, Annie felt 12 legs tall. She realized she could plan something as important as a volunteer group. She remembered Mrs. Ladybug talking about bugs in the community who didn't have enough food or clothing. "Let's have a Help Your Neighbor Day," Annie exclaimed. "That would be a great way to help bugs in the community." The other little bugs all agreed, with a vote, of course. By the end of the week, the bugs had found a place to have Help Your Neighbor Day and had set a date. The bugs couldn't wait to plan their first volunteer project. Annie organized everyone into smaller groups so they could get everything done. Some of the bugs were in charge of planning the menu, others were in charge of choosing activities for the event. They even had a group that was preparing a special surprise for the bugs in need. Before long, the bugs had done everything to make sure that Help Your Neighbor Day was a big success. Then they went out to have some fun. After all, bugs will be bugs. On the day of the event, the bugs that came to Help Your Neighbor Day were surprised by how much Annie and her friends had done for them. All afternoon, the bugs sang, danced, ate, and then played a game of bug ball. Some of Annie's friends even managed to get a famous bug band to put on a concert. "Groovy," said Gilly. At the end of the day, the bugs who came to Help Your Neighbor Day were very thankful for the bugs that helped them. "This is the best day I've had in a long time," exclaimed one bug. "Thank you for everything," said another bug. Annie and her friends had made a difference in the bugs' lives. But they still had one more surprise. "We all chipped in and made each of you a bug bag filled with things that you can use for the winter," said Annie. The bugs couldn't believe their eyes. It was the nicest thing anyone had ever done for them. When Annie got home, she told her mother how great the day had been. "You and your friends did a very special thing," Annie's mother said. "You should be very proud of yourselves." And Annie was very proud of herself. But she also felt something else. Very tired.
So you think you're too small, not much to offer at all. No money, not a dime to your name. Although you're young, that's true. Deep down inside of you, you feel the need to make a change. Well, you got a big heart, and that's a great start. The rest is up to you. You got a lot to say. Where there's a will, there's a way. Your best is the best you can do. Come on and volunteer. Start with your family, then gather your friends, and figure out how you can lend a hand. People need help in so many ways. Just having fun can make a special day. Well, you got a big heart, and that's a great start. The rest is up to you. You got a lot to say. Where there's a will, there's a way. Your best is the best you can do. Come on and volunteer. Just something little like a lemonade stand. Then add some music by a rock and roll band. Your goal to put a smile on everyone's face and make this world a better place. Come on and volunteer. Come on and volunteer. Come on and volunteer. You got so much to offer, just as small as you are. A little work can